Hey everybody, Coach here. Hey, so glad you're here. I know that it has been a short minute since we visited last. I have been in the middle of crunching, literally crunching, both inside the house but mostly outside in preparation for the upcoming 5+ months of winter ahead. Not my favorite season, I'll be the first to say. Hey, we are covering many things today, so let's get started. Hey guys, just a brief break in this week's podcast here and an invitation for you to go over to youryardcoach.com and check out the products and services that we offer there. For most people, DIY landscaping on a medium to larger level can be very, very intimidating. And the book and the course and some of the checklists that we do offer really streamline the process and bolster a DIYer's confidence. So I invite you to go over there, check it out, and if you have any questions, you can always email me at youryardcoach@gmail.com. Now, let's get back to the podcast. Hey, welcome back. Hope you spend a few minutes. Hope you stay for the entire episode. Put the earbuds in and keep doing your day or night, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit of something here and there. Hey, I don't know about you, but I have always found that looking back on my year, checking the annual punch list that I create early on, and giving myself kind of a pseudo grade for accomplishment is kind of standard fare for me, has been for decades. So, for 2025, I've issued myself a grade of B. You can remember from your school days, B being A, B, C, D, or the dreaded F. Why a B? Well, early on, it was basically due to my better half in full-on surgical recovery mode for a very serious knee injury debacle. My landscape season, it was kind of pushed. It was pushed down the road quite a ways. Normally around here, we can start seriously considering getting out maybe at the end of April, but mostly the first half of May is when you can actually get out and start doing stuff. You know, I had put in a few annuals and I had put in a few perennials, some small stuff, but major projects, no, my attention was drawn in other places. For 2025, I had about 6 or 7 main landscape projects. Now, no particular order of importance or anything, it's just the ones that I had on my punch list. I did have some lawn removal, turf removal, and some planting beds to be installed. I removed or wanted to remove about 3,000 square feet in total of lawn and then convert that new empty space into planting beds. Another one was garden beds for next year to be built and installed, and an area kind of designated for the veggie garden bed. I will never grow container growing veggies again up here in the north. It just doesn't work. And the amount of maintenance that you have to pay attention to the containers, it just takes you away from so many other things. So, garden beds. I didn't know how many at first, but we'll cover that in a little while. The other one was adding in another outdoor living space. And I wanted a deck. Not a super big one, just one that you could go out there and sit and have a glass of wine or whatever and overlook the pond and listen to Little Brook as it came into the pond and left the pond. I wanted that outdoor space. Another big one, I knew this was going to be probably the worst task of all of 2025, and that was to clean up the pond area in general. Now, on one side of it, it was all brushy, full of old fireweed, raspberry, honeysuckle, goldenrod, and all kinds of stuff. And it just looked like the forest was starting to encroach down into the domestic area of the pond. So I knew I was going to have to get in the pond, and I was actually going to have to start pulling cattails. And I don't know if you've ever waded into a pond especially one where you don't really know all the history. How long has it been there? What kind of bottom the original installer made it? And why I had cattails literally taking over the pond. And I was getting a little weary of that. So I knew that was coming up and I wasn't looking forward to it. And I knew it was going to be a big job. Another task that I really wanted to do to better serve some of the things that I just listed for you was I needed a bridge. And I needed a bridge more than the little pedestrian bridge that I originally installed when we first moved into Brook and Pond. I needed something big enough to accommodate a tractor, a lawnmower, ride-on lawnmower, even a mini excavator if I would rent one, or I had my friend Jared come over and do some work. I needed something big enough to handle that. So, leading up to that project, I had never built a bridge before. I'd built a couple little arch dinky bridges over water feature streams and that kind of stuff, but never something big enough or stout enough. And I couldn't decide exactly how to go about it initially. I didn't know if I wanted to fell some big logs around here and make it a very simple log bridge, or if I wanted to do something more. And another project that I had, actually two. The next one was going to be a small addition to the low voltage lighting system around the property here, around the house. And the last one was, because of the bridge, because of the pond, because of some stream erosion, and because of the driveway erosion down at the culvert from last March, I needed some loads of gravel. And I needed to kind of redo the driveway and create more driveway down around the proposed bridge area. That was it. That was all I was going to do this year. Well, what I thought was going to be 5 months got compressed down to about, I'd say 10 weeks. 10 weeks or so would be an accurate. I started right around the 4th of July, and then I pushed. So my question to you is do you set about in the early parts of the year? Do you set about what you would like to do outside on your property, whether it be small, whether it be large? Did you make yourself a list, a punch list that you wanted to kind of be able to accomplish before, the year wound down? I don't know if I'm way out in left field being a little too OCD about it, but I find that in my later years here, it keeps me productive, it keeps me focused, it keeps me thinking, and it allows me to look back on things when I get all done saying, okay, all right. And you get that mental check off and that feeling of accomplishment that number one, you did it yourself, because all of this stuff that I did was by myself, except for the delivery of the gravel material. So I don't know. I think in this day and age, many folks tend to want to just write a check. They just want to have somebody do it because maybe their lives are self-imposed way too busy to take on some big project. And I look at that and I go, okay, well, if you have the resources and you're not plunging yourself into a mountain of more debt beyond what you can normally handle, and I mean, if you have the resources, it is a form of time management. Like, for instance, next year, I want to have an additional outbuilding, a shed, where I can empty the garage a little bit of tools and snow machine and other things and put it in the shed so that there's a lot more room in my garage. And I said to myself, I look on the Facebook place and there are sheds there that people build locally that cost, anywhere from $3,500 up to $7,000 and more dollars to have it built for you and then drug up here and placed. And I think to myself, could I build a shed like that for, say, half the price and sharpen my carpenter skills and be able to complete it by watching a few YouTube videos and the skills that I bring to the table, which are, just above beginner level? Could I build one of those myself, save thousands of dollars, but it would be protracted over a much longer period of time rather than just pick up the phone, throw it on the card, set a date for delivery, and prepare wherever I'm going to put it? I don't know. I'm the type of guy that likes to look back and say, hey, I did that myself. Not everybody is like that. Anyway, I digress. Now, that list that I gave you, that to-do list, that doesn't include all the other things that go on in life. There was still physical therapy appointments that I had to drive to. There was still the weekly maintenance of 2.5 acres in the North Maine forest. There was the YouTube creations that Maestro and I had to try and put out on a semi-regular basis. I told myself that if I'm going to get these things done, something's got to give somewhere. And YouTube kind of got pushed back just a little bit. It did. It got pushed to shorts and plants of the week and other things that didn't take up quite as much time because, hey, I was grinding. Literally, I was grinding. And then there's the whole forest maintenance part of this place. One huge, big, the largest tree on the property died this year. A huge white birch, huge. I could not even put my arm all the way around its circumference at the base of the trunk. And I knew I was going to have to bring that thing down. So there was other stuff in addition to this list just to keep up the regular stuff. And then there's the watering and the fertilizing and the mowing and the blowing and the taking care of vehicles, making sure everything in the house works. So you really have to extrapolate time out to do additional projects as daylight hours allow you to. So through July, August, and the first half of September, I was in absolute crunch and grind time. Every day, sometimes even on physical therapy days when I had to get Maestro there, I would do something before we went, or I'd be doing something after we got back and having to constantly move forward. Because if you haven't done these kinds of things, momentum is everything in a project. Once you have it mentally, you have materials on site, or you have them ordered and scheduled for a delivery. If you break the cycle of that momentum, sometimes you find that the project takes 2 to 3 times longer because then you start piecemealing it a little bit more than you should, or you just it goes under a tarp and you postpone it and legitimize it by saying, I'll get to it when I can. And for some, maybe life just gets in the way. But for most, we get distracted. We get distracted with life, things that we would suddenly rather do, or invitations to go do something fun, or whatever it might be. And the project gets kind of pushed back just a little bit. So I come to you today in the first part of November 2025. In the end, as I speak to you today, I am proud to say that the list that I started and compressed into a much smaller period of time, hey, I was able to get it done. And I was able to get it done in a timely fashion. Like I was able to keep that momentum up. And you could ask Maestro. I mean, there were some nights that I didn't even make it to 9 o'clock at night. I was like just trashed. I was shattered physically. I really miss my 35-year-old body. I really do. because at 67, sometimes you just can't grind out the hours as hard as you did in days gone by. So, hey, I did what I could do, and I did it during the number of days that I had, and staying on it, able to get it done. I'll tell you what, honestly, it would not be so bad if it was spread out that additional 6 to 8 weeks that I thought I was going to have. It would not have been such a task pressure cooker. Now, that pressure cooker was totally self-imposed, I'll admit that, with the exception of the plant material that we went and got for that lawn planting bed renovation area. I had a window of time. I had about 6 weeks in that 10-week window where I needed to get plants, get them in the ground, and get them established. And the last bed did not go in until the first part of September. Late August, first part of September, something right around there. Because once cold weather starts to set in, and it is starting, although I would say it's a 2-week late right now. I don't even have frozen ground yet. And I can remember putting lighting in last fall, right around Halloween, where I was getting about 1 to 2 inch worth of ground freeze already. That hasn't happened yet this year. I could still go out there and dig holes if I had to. But plant material needs to be established beyond the container that it has been growing in. It needs to get out into the land. It needs to have food up into the system when it first gets planted, and then be able to descend all that food, sugars, and carbohydrates and stuff down in the root system and store it for the harsh winter months ahead. And where those planting beds are, it's going to be 3 feet of snow. I won't even see any of these plants until late March or April of next year once the snow arrives. So, plant material, living plant tissue needs to be addressed totally different than some hardscape feature like a garden bed, deck, or bridge. Totally different. So my priorities were really kind of focused on getting them in, getting them established, and getting through. We had kind of a real narrow 1-week period where we got really warm here. I think it was right in the beginning of August where we went well up into the high 80s, even a low 90 for that 1 week. And though that's record-breaking territory for us. Normally, mid to high 70s up to the mid 80s is kind of the warm part of our summer. So water had to be dragged. Water had to be provided on a regular basis. And then once that was in, I was maintaining those things, then I could focus in on other stuff. But that time crunch that I gave myself, that period of time, if I did have a little bit more, if I had that extra, 6-8 weeks, I wouldn't have felt as pressured. So, and then as Murphy, if I ever meet that SOB, I swear to God, I'm going to punch him in the face. Murphy decided to come and visit. And Murphy brought his law and decided to take JD, my compact tractor, and decided to break down on me. And so I had to send it off to the repair shop. And I was without JD for the better part of 2 weeks. And I had mounds and mounds and mounds of gravel at that time that I needed to get placed so I could have the apron and the bridge approach and the departure road in and completed, and then repair the culvert area of the driveway, spread out some new gravel, etc. So I got pressured just a little bit more, and I got JD back, and eventually it all turned out okay. It was just a very busy period of time. So you can see why sometimes YouTube, I bring this education to you guys totally voluntary. There's a couple of ducats here and there that we get for our efforts, but certainly not very much. Had to be pushed back and put on slow mode for a little while. I think you would probably agree that you'd probably handle things pretty much the same way. So, saying all of this about the accomplishments that happened here at Brook and Pond, but I would rather ask you guys, you know, did you set yourself up for success on some project outside? And now that things are winding down, did you accomplish it? Hey, maybe you only had one project that you were going to do. And were you able to plan it, acquire the materials, execute, and complete it for yourself? Did you look back on the year and say, hey, I got 6 out of 10 things done, or I got 3 out of 5 things done? So when you look back, it'll also give you that opportunity to say, looking forward, what you still might want to do, or did those projects that you did accomplish trigger other ideas and other things that you might want to do in 2026? I know it certainly has for me. We'll share that in just a minute. Now, some people, myself included, on occasion, some people set the bar too high for themselves. They think they can get 12 things done with a spread out, protracted out time frame, when in reality, as time sets in because of resources, time, schedules, family needs, any number of things, instead of 12 things, we only hit the bar maybe at 3. That's not the end of the world. It just allows you to have that list and say, looking forward, these other 9 things I'm going to attempt when I can. Now, for me, everything is about weather. It's all about getting things done before ground freeze, snow arrives, temperatures plummet, and you really can't do anything outside. But maybe where you're at, you can. When I was in Northern California, I was able to do stuff pretty much 12 months out of the year. I mean, a 25-degree night was news shattering. Freezing temperatures descend upon the Central Valley of Northern California. Protect all you have. Here, in a matter of a month, 25 degrees is going to be a high for me on a really good day, on a really nice day. 25 may be, 6 o'clock news stuff where I was. I don't know about you. Now, for you guys, when you talk about your projects, are you guys swinging for hardscape type of projects or greenscape type of projects? Installations and absolute construction, or are you renovating with demolition, tear outs, and reinstalls? Total landscape type of renovations. I'd be curious to know. As a homeowner, we are always faced with a weekly, monthly, and annual touch-ups and maintenance. As a responsible owner, you can't get away from that stuff. There's various ways that you can approach it. You can ignore it, you can hire it out, or you can set a schedule to take care of it and do it by yourself in order to have it done the way you want it done. And it's one of those things that is just never going to be not there for a responsible homeowner. But the projects, the renovations or the additions or whatever, those are above and beyond those small maintenance tasks. So you have to, shoehorn in the time and maybe delegate some of the menial tasks of weekly maintenance and stuff to family members or whatever while you focus in on, or you make it a team effort from the get-go and everybody gets involved. You've got a large lawn to mow or you've got things to water. Man, I'll tell you what, a 6-year-old can be taught how to water, and you can have somebody water for you while you're mowing and someone else is humping gravel to the backyard where the new whatever is going to be placed, and you can make it a team effort, and the time that is saved is phenomenal. And the pride that is taken by everybody in the household will be obvious as well. Just don't forget to say thanks. And you can say thanks in a myriad of ways. Like I said earlier, I think that building, planning, creating, renovating is a great way, especially for my brain, but for our brains collectively, beyond the norm, and it makes us think. And the planning start and finish, what we have is an idea to all the way through a complete, enjoyable, and value improved job that's well done, just bolsters our confidence in life. It raises the bar of pride and ownership of everything that goes on there. Does it have to be absolutely architectural digest perfect? No, not at all. It just has to be done with some forethought and a little bit of effort, and most importantly, the love for doing it. Because if you do love what you're doing, it's going to be done as correct as possible. If you're doing it because he made you or she made you do it, and you don't give two craps about whether it's done right or not, chances are the money spent may just be flushed down the toilet if you don't plant correctly, if you don't build correctly, if you don't mow correctly, you don't fertilize correctly. Those kinds of things, you have to have the pride and the love of what you pay for every month in the form of a mortgage. Those things are done in a style and a fashion that you can kind of put those thumbs underneath your armpits and go, yep, I did that and I did it right. Now for me, I love this lifestyle and the feeling of accomplishment after building something with my own sweat, certainly a little bit of blood and tears. There are some out there that do not share that sentiment and do nothing. I know when we drive into town, whether we go 1 hour away to a bigger town or we go a short distance to a smaller town, there are those properties that we drive by. And Maestro and I collectively just kind of shake our head. And there's that collective ugh sound in both our voices that people consider the way their place looks as normal. And if you looked at it, it looks like a junkyard. Literally, some of them look like a miniature dump where they have collected tons and tons and tons of various things. And yet, looking at it from the highway at 55 miles an hour, you really don't see an end game. You just see decades of collection that really make no sense. And where we live, yes, for some things there is a building code, but there is no code enforcement, especially to visual pollution. It's just, hey, it's our land, we can basically do kind of Alaska-ish, where you're just allowed to do what you want on your own property without a lot of big brother meddling in your life. And although that's good on one hand, this is the backlash on the other. So I hope that whoever I'm speaking with, you are not one of those people that have done that kind of a lifestyle where just throw it over in the corner. Throw it out the front door. Just put that old jalopy, on the side of the house. And then the collection starts. I don't think the good Lord intended us to steward our lands that He has allowed us to have in that fashion. He gave us dominion, but He did not intend us to not be good stewards. And I'd like to think that I have tried my best to be a good steward of what I've been allowed to have and been blessed with. But there are some folks that they just look like they don't, that doesn't even enter their conscious mind. Now, as I drive by some of these places, I kind of think to myself, what are some of the many reasons that there might be that might have come to bear on these decisions of folks living like that? Is it a lifestyle that they learned from their parents or a previous generation? Is it a lack of funds that they don't have the money now that they have the mess? They've spent all their money in order to clean it up. Maybe it's a lack of physical capabilities where you're just not able to do it because a health crisis has descended into your life. Or what about a lack of knowledge and skills, legitimate knowledge and skills, in order to either start and complete the project that you'd really like to do, or to overcome the trash heap that you call your house? Either or. Or basically, summing it all up, a lack of overall desire to improve, period. Sad, but it's a reality out there. And it's too bad because where we live up here, there's a small town down by a very large lake nearby. And it is a wonderfully maintained, even on Main Street, it's a wonderfully maintained area. You can see pride in ownership at just about 90 to 95% of all the homes. Driveways are in good shape, yards are in good shape, cars are in good shape, landscape is maintained, everything looks like it's on the up and up. And yet there's another town that's very close to us and on a major route, and you drive down there and it's night and day. It looks like, and this is no disrespect to tenants or renters, but it looks like they're all renters and only about 20% of the homes within eyeball scan of the highway looks like they're really taking care of things. Not very many. And I kind of just cock my head and go, what's the difference? Is it neighborhood peer pressure influence, or is it just the people that have acquired property in this nearby town that just don't give a crap? It looks literally like builds that were done right after World War II. And at one time, maybe things looked and were maintained well. And then something happened. Something moved out of the area work-wise or whatever, and everything just kind of fell apart. I will say this, is I don't want to sound judgmental. I'm not. I don't think any less of these folks. There's probably very good people that live there. I just don't know them personally. And I don't think them any less people than I. Just a different priority list in life is the only thing I can point to. I can only hold myself in scrutiny and what I can accomplish and what level of quality work I can produce for where I live. Now, there's not a neighbor within a mile of any direction where I live. So it's not like I'm in a neighborhood that people can see what quality of living Maestro and I have here. I'm okay with that. When people do visit, they always compliment or they say something about, wow, you really improved this place since you moved in, whatever. And it's a nice compliment, and that's a reflection of the hard work that both of us have put into our home. So here we are in November. 2025 is almost in the books and in the rearview mirror. How'd you guys do? Did you set the list? Did you make some effort to accomplish it? I know the list that I gave you earlier in the podcast. The bridge, the deck, the garden boxes, the lawn beds, the driveway repairs. The bridge was the most challenging. It required excavation, compaction, cement work, cement block work, large 6x6 bolt downs, decking, tread boards, backfilling, water protection, stream erosion control. And yeah, it took a good 5 weeks before everything was all complete, mainly because of materials acquisition. But it turned out good. I've driven JD across that thing dozens and dozens and dozens of times now, and it doesn't even falter. I seriously believe I could probably drive my pickup across it, a 1-ton dually, and there wouldn't be a problem. I know an excavator will be able to crawl across it without any problem. And looking back on it, I look out my window here in the studio, I look at and I see the bridge, and I see all the gravels and the infrastructure that it took to put it all together. And it's like, okay, hey, I hope that lasts a few decades, at least until I'm gone, So the garden boxes, hey, I took apart the pedestrian bridge, and it had a bunch of 2x8s, 4-foot 2x8s. And the 2x8s were still in good shape. Even the tree logs that I used to span the little creek were still in good shape, and they're going to be recycled into another bridge at the headwaters of the pond. But the 2x8s were just recycled and repurposed right into the garden boxes. And I took that, and I took some of the decking from the deck material, the 5/4 boards that I decked the deck with, and those were the trim boards on the top of the garden boxes. So I didn't have to go out and spend a whole bunch of additional monies to create garden boxes. I originally thought I was going to have some type of sponsorship from some of the aluminum garden box providers. They reached out a few times, and we dialogued back and forth, and then they just ghosted me and didn't follow through at their end, which is kind of typical in the social media advertising realm of things. They reach out, you say you're going to do something, and then they just kind of go, well, maybe, and they don't say nothing. I've got kind of used to that. So, looking forward, like the title of the podcast is, looking forward, what are you thinking about for the upcoming year? Do you guys have something big? You have something medium or small? And I'm talking a renovation type of project. If it's something that you haven't done before, there are certainly a lot. There are thousands of points of resource that you can reach out to, myself included, youryardcoach.com, to talk to you and walk you through it, talk you through it, and have a coach at your disposal should you be going down a path that you haven't gone for and you're kind of like got that type of I don't know what I'm doing type of thing. There's lots of ways that you can overcome that in this day and age, that's for sure. And maybe you have somebody in your circle of influence that can step in and point you in the right direction, or for burgers and a beer, come over and help you one Saturday, or whatever it might be. So, with winter staring us in the face now, how's the landscape? Have you kind of prepped it? If you have an irrigation system, is it blown out by now? So you don't have freezing and exploding pipes under the ground? Have you done any sort of nipping and tucking? Pruning trees that have weak branches that could crack off and break? You prune them just a little bit. Have you done any sort of lawn preparation as far as the last feeding, maybe in October, and you've cut it to a height that you can leave it at for the remainder of the winter? How's your house? Are there any things that you need to take care of? Roof checked, chimney cleaned, anything like that? These are the things that we're always facing and that are small projects. For me today, I have kind of a light day. I'm going to be treating the undercarriage of my truck to prevent any sort of salt issues. So I'm spraying a little bit of fluid film on there, and I'm putting up a ceiling fan in the master bedroom. Circulate a little bit of air, especially when we have the wood-burning fireplace going. A lot of heat stays out in the living room, and some gets into the bedroom. It'll also help during the summer as well. I think some of the best plans and the best renovation projects are born inside our brains during the depths of winter. And you can have that time to think them all out and have them prepped, ready and ready to launch when spring weather breaks and you can actually get back out there and accomplish them. But don't let them just rudiment in your brain. Get them out of your brain onto a piece of paper. And if you're truly serious about it, if you need to schedule up pros to come help you or to do it, make sure that you're reaching out to them weeks, if not months in advance. You don't want to sit around and it's now April 15th, you've paid your taxes, and now you're going to call contractor guy, hey, can you be here next Tuesday and renovate my front yard? And they're going to go, no, we're booked for the next 120 days. And you're going to go, what do you mean? These kinds of things for successful professionals, there's not a lot of time off. They may shift gears and do different things during different times of the year, but they try to stay busy because that's their income. So if you want to do a landscape renovation project and you can do everything as far as putting green into the ground, but you want someone to do an irrigation system, don't reach out in May expecting someone to be there the very next week. It could happen, but chances are it's not. So by February, you should be reaching out to people and asking for a visit, asking for a quote, asking for an estimate, and then picking someone to do the job and getting on the schedule. The other thing is materials availability. During certain times of the year, you're not going to find some things even thought about available, period. Unless maybe you're in Southern California or South Texas or maybe Florida, South Georgia, South Alabama. Most of the time, any green stuff kind of gets rolled up for the year. All the good stuff has been sold off. They've upscaled their gallon cans into a 5-gallon can, so it'll be bigger next year. They're potting up their gallon cans from 4-inch liners, blah, 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 but there's not a lot of retail stock available. So know that in advance and don't plan on an early March tree planting episode when the availability is not going to be very good. My point is to make sure whatever you're planning, you do it and you can source it in time for the project schedule. For me, next year holds some more plantings for sure, new garden boxes and whatnot. A lot more perennials that are going to go in the ground. And I'd love to have a few more trees. Not a lot, but a few more trees. Then my attention will be turned to that pond project down there. The time of year, say late August through September, when it's kind of our dry season here, very, very little rain happens. Little Brook basically dries up. The pond drops just a little bit. I think I'll end up pumping that thing dry, letting it sit open for a while, and then I'm going to dredge it out and deepen it up just a little bit. It's probably going to be the biggest project of next year. Then my attention's also going to be to auto irrigate this place, so Maestro and I might get freed up to go do some traveling a little bit again. So some auto irrigation is going to have to be installed. Now I do have water lines and everything run from my diaphragm tank in the utility room out through the house and already put in place. All I need to do is convert it into the valves, put some electric sprinkler wire to them, and run the plumbing to the beds. Not a small task, not a small task at all in the pseudo soil rock that we have, but we'll get it done. Once you get to the beds, you can daylight it to the surface and just run the drip lines on the surface of the beds. But it's getting across the driveways and that kind of stuff that are going to be challenging. Lastly, I think the next project is to address some drainage on the hillside where our driveway comes up to the home site. When we do get some rains, especially spring and early summer rains, it can rain so hard that literally it's like a sheet of water that goes down the driveway. And it can move some of the stone dust type of gravel that we have on there and just literally wash it away. So I'd like to address that with some crowning of the driveway a little better. guttering the driveway a lot better, and probably putting in 2 French drains perpendicular across the driveway to capture runoff before it gets any sort of inertia involved where it can actually just wash away the gravel. So that's going to be the projects that I have set. These are the things that have crossed my mind at the end of this year. Looking back, I did what I wanted on the list, and I'm looking forward to 2026 where I can make another small list. Right now we're kind of in exhale mode. We've accomplished what we've wanted to accomplish. We're waiting for our first snows coming up at the end of the week, and we're going to turn our attention more to snow management and that hibernating bear theory that a lot of people go through up in the deep north. We go to work, we come home, we hibernate. There's obviously not a lot of projects on the outside that we do, more that we turn our attention inwards. There's a little bit of kitchen painting that might be done, an additional ceiling fan in the second bedroom, might do a little something out in the garage, and planning and reaching out and talking to companies over the winter. That's basically what we have planned. So I hope whatever my voice has reached out there, that you kind of think about looking back so you can look forward when it comes to maintaining your home and your landscape. If you need any help, consulting, designing, on-site help, reach out, youryardcoach.com. If you see something there that you have some questions about, email me at any time. I will always get back to you. In any case, as always, to your guys' landscape success, I wish you the very best of the holiday season coming up, and I'll visit again very, very soon. Now that we're kind of caught up, I can do a few more of these on a regular basis. Thanks again for staying with me. I really very much appreciate your time and your ear. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.